Hey everyone, how we all doing? It's Liam from Push Square, and I'm here today to bring you a little bit of speculation about PlayStation Plus on the PlayStation 5. Now, there's been some rumours floating around that their internet this past week spurned on by some changes Microsoft made to their Xbox Live Gold subscription service. Now, as you may know, Xbox requires the purchase of Xbox Live Gold in order to play your games online. But recently, the company discontinued the 12-month tier of its long-running Xbox Live subscription service, prompting plenty of people to have a little think about what this could mean for the service moving forward. As a result, a lot of PlayStation fans began to speculate what it could mean for PlayStation Plus if Microsoft completely overhaul their subscription services for the next generation. So this is just a little discussion about what PlayStation Plus could look like on the PlayStation 5. Before we start, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, it would really help us out. So here's what people think Microsoft might be doing by removing their 12-month tier. The first is quite boring, and it's that the company are simply upgrading the systems responsible for subscribing, and so they have disabled it temporarily while they make some back-end changes. However, the alternatives, which are much more interesting, is that the company may be about to make some disruptive changes to its business model. One theory is that the company are discontinuing the 12-month tier in an effort to push users towards the more expansive, all-encompassing Game Pass Ultimate. Game Pass Ultimate, if you don't know, bundles together Xbox Live Gold, the upcoming Project X Cloud, and its Game Pass software vault. And the third alternative is that Microsoft may feel so strongly about the value proposition of Game Pass that it may be eradicating paid online play entirely for the next generation. This seems, out of the three, the most unlikely. I mean, Xbox Live Gold will undoubtedly be a huge money-making venture for Microsoft moving forward into the next generation. However, this is the same company that's giving away all of its first-party exclusive titles via Xbox Game Pass, a service that can be subscribed to for as little as £1 a month. Now, there's a few things to consider here. The first is that Microsoft have been in second place for the entirety of this console generation, and if there's one thing the company have proven, it's that they have no issue with being disruptive. By being on the back foot for an entire console generation, Microsoft have gone through huge, sweeping changes in terms of their content offering, buying up fan-favourite companies and investing heavily in Xbox Game Pass, a Netflix-style service that can be subscribed to for as little as $7.99 a month on console, which gives you access to over 100 console games, plus new first-party exclusives added on the same day they release in retail, and on top of that, for $10.99 a month, you can subscribe to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which gives you access to the PC version of Xbox Game Pass, the console version of Xbox Game Pass, and Xbox Live Gold for only $10.99. Xbox Game Pass is an incredibly consumer-friendly business model. It is beloved by fans on both PC and console, and has been hugely successful for Microsoft. Even if we're not sure if it's profitable for the company, it's certainly painted them in a better light than they were in at the start of this generation. To move forward into the next generation by doubling down on Game Pass and potentially removing paid online would put the Xbox in a very good position, especially when compared to the way that Sony are currently pricing their online subscription services. So after reading all of these rumours, we did what we normally do, and we ran a poll over on the website where we asked, would you still pay for PlayStation Plus if online multiplayer was free elsewhere? The results were kind of split down the middle. Out of the 41,000 people who responded, 22% said, yeah, that's not a problem for me, while 32% said, ha, absolutely no chance. However, the middle portion of those results were still fairly well represented. 15% said they would, but grudgingly, 13% said they weren't entirely sure, and 18% said no, but they could be persuaded. The general consensus said that people only really subscribe to PlayStation Plus for the cloud saves, and they they'd resent having to pay to play online when another console was offering it for free, especially seeing as historically Sony used to offer free online services during the PlayStation 3 era. Seeing as PlayStation Plus has increased in price over the years, when you think about how much a monthly subscription costs or even a yearly subscription costs, that adds up over the course of a generation, and based on feedback, a lot of people don't feel like the free games offered with PlayStation Plus makes that value proposition worth it if it was offered for free elsewhere. So we asked another question. Would you consider a console with free online multiplayer over the PlayStation 5? Now, results for this were split entirely down the middle. 39% said that yes, they prefer value for money and would go elsewhere if online was free. 38% said that no, they would be buying a PlayStation 5 regardless, while the remaining 23% said that it was possible that they would consider jumping ship. This is really interesting. Brand loyalty for the PlayStation has always, in my experience, been down to the exclusive games, not to its online services. But realistically, I think that this is more a reaction to how consumer-friendly the Xbox is looking compared to the PlayStation moving forward into the next generation. I think people would, as I've already said, resent having to pay for an online service if something of equal value was being offered for free on a different system. And finally, we asked, what could Sony do to improve the value of PlayStation Plus? 41%, the overwhelming majority, said that it should be bundled with PlayStation Now, 30% said that they should give out more free games, and 19% said that it should offer bigger and better PlayStation Store discounts. And moving forward into the next generation, I do genuinely believe that Sony will have to change up their online services to compete with what Xbox are offering, especially when it comes to Xbox Game Pass. PlayStation Now began as a game subscription service that relied on streaming in order to deliver its content. Now, over the years, that has changed slightly, and Sony are trying to emulate Game Pass's success by allowing you to download PlayStation 4 titles directly to your console. For $8.99 a month, £1 more than Xbox Game Pass costs on the console alone, you can download and stream all of its titles to both your PlayStation 4 or a PC. The library of titles on offer are pretty good these days. There are a smattering of PlayStation exclusives, including Bloodborne, God of War, and Uncharted 4, as well as a bunch of PlayStation 3 titles and third-party PlayStation 4 titles. There are over 700 titles available to play, with new games added every month. Realistically, PlayStation Now offers a very similar value proposition to Xbox Game Pass. The only difference is that Sony don't really shout about it very often. The service could probably do with being overhauled completely in terms of its branding, renaming it to get away from the streaming stigma that PlayStation Now has had since it was first introduced. I'm not sure Sony would ever bundle PlayStation Plus with PlayStation Now, but there's no reason why they couldn't do a joint subscription model that reduces the cost of both by bundling them together in that sense. And with the launch of the PlayStation 5, Sony would do well to maybe give everyone who purchases a PlayStation 5 in the launch window 3 months or even just a month free of PlayStation Now, allowing them to download PlayStation 4 titles and experience them on the next generation hardware, especially if those titles benefit from next generation upgrades. That would go a long way, I think, to prove that PlayStation Now is a valid competitor to Xbox Game Pass. Obviously, the elephant in the room about Xbox Game Pass is that Microsoft release all of their first-party exclusives on the service day one, and Sony won't do that. But I think it makes sense why Sony won't do that. I could sit here and wax lyrical for 10 minutes about how PlayStation exclusives are of a different caliber to Xbox exclusives, but the simple fact is, PlayStation exclusives made way too much money for them ever to consider this. I mean, you only need to look at how many copies The Last of Us Part 2 sold in its opening weekend alone to understand why they will never give away their first-party exclusives on PlayStation Now to be played for as little as £8 a month. I mean, it would be bad business, let's be fair. But there's no reason why the company can't be more consumer-friendly by offering PlayStation Now as a bundle with PlayStation Plus. To address the 30% who said that PlayStation Plus would be improved if they gave out more free games, I agree, and I think we will see this moving forward. For the first few years of the PlayStation PlayStation 4's lifecycle, we were given PlayStation 4 titles, PlayStation 3 titles, and PlayStation Vita titles as part of our PlayStation Plus subscription. It would not surprise me if Sony continued to offer PlayStation 4 titles as well as PlayStation 5 titles via PlayStation Plus. The best thing about this is that those PlayStation 4 titles will be backwards compatible with the PlayStation 5, making it, arguably, a better value proposition than it was with the launch of the PlayStation 4 when we couldn't even play those PlayStation 3 games on the PlayStation 4. So yeah, that's something that will happen, and I think that will really improve PlayStation Plus on the PlayStation 5. But what about if Microsoft makes online play free with the Xbox Series X? It's an interesting situation to think about. Microsoft are taking a very different approach with their next generation hardware. They're basically going for a console agnostic approach. They don't really care where you're playing as long as you're subscribed to Xbox Game Pass. You can play on your Xbox One, your Xbox One X, your Xbox Series X, your computer, or on your phone via xCloud, their streaming service. And, you know, fair play to them. It's not a traditional way of doing things. It is a very disruptive business model. Time will tell whether it's successful, but honestly, it's just nice to see that both Microsoft and Sony are approaching the next generation in such radically different ways. Sony are sticking to their guns, focusing on huge first-party exclusives that harness the power of the next generation, whereas Microsoft are basically giving the consumer the option to do whatever they want. They don't even have to buy a next generation Xbox if they want to play the next Halo, which is wild when you think about it. No company has ever really approached a new generation like this before. And realistically, if Microsoft drop their paid online services, then yeah, fair enough. It means that Sony will respond, and that's the best thing about this industry, is if a company does something radically different and it turns out that it works, it benefits everyone, because every company wants to be on the same level in order to appeal to the broadest market. I mean, you only need to look at when the Nintendo Wii became the most successful games console on the planet, and suddenly every console had motion controls. It'll be no different if Microsoft drop their paid online, because Sony will respond, whether that is by making PlayStation Plus a better value proposition, which would probably be the most likely result, or Sony will say, okay, yeah, your online multiplayer is free, but please keep subscribing to PlayStation Plus, because we're going to make it 10 times more appealing, so we keep those subscriptions. And that, I think, is what PlayStation Plus will look like on the PlayStation 5. It will be largely the same for the first few months to a year. There will be a greater emphasis on PlayStation Now in order to respond to Xbox Game Pass and how successful that's been. And if Microsoft make any radical changes in terms of their streaming services or by removing the paywall for online play, Sony will respond. And it might not be tit for tat, it might be in a radical way that makes it more interesting and makes the console more appealing to different groups of people. And that is why a new generation is always so exciting. So you'll still get your games included as part of PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Now will still offer an instant game collection for those who want it, and free-to-play games like Fortnite will still be free to play online, which completely throws the entire point of PlayStation Plus into a big bin. And frankly, I'm surprised we don't talk about that more than we do, because you don't need to subscribe to the thing that lets you play online to play the biggest online game in the world. I don't understand that. How does that work? Oh, it's probably because they get a cut from the microtransactions, right? Yeah, that makes sense. That's definitely why. Alright, ignore me. So there we have it, a little bit of lovely speculation about PlayStation Plus on the PlayStation 5. What are your thoughts about this whole situation? Would you jump ship if Microsoft offered online play for free? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and make sure to subscribe to Push Square for everything PlayStation. Thank you, as always, for watching.